Brad Paisley made the suggestion at the Opry during George Jones' funeral service. He said if you don't know who George Jones is, please go discover him now. I've compiled this video to show people out there just who George Jones is. Also, I just wanted to say thank you, George. Thank you for all the years of wonderful music, and thank you for the personal touch that you added to my lifelong admiration to your music. Thank you for the letters you sent me. Thank you for the time that you spent talking with me. Thank you for having us to your home in 2004. What may have seemed just like a few passing moments to you, to me, are cherished memories to last a lifetime. We love you, George.
There's probably a lot of young people watching, and you must be thinking, boy, they're making a ruckus about this guy. I would encourage you, if you don't know about him, to go find him now, to go buy his records and see what all this ruckus is about.
And the unique American art form called country music, no voice is more distinctive and no name more respected than George Jones.
He's a singing son of a bitch, let me tell you. George Jones, where you at, Hoss?
There are a lot of ways to define country music, but I can do it in just 2 words. Ladies and gentlemen, George Jones.
100 years from today, people will still be saying, I want to grow up to sing like George Jones.
I figure everybody's going to talk about his singing and his records and the influence that he's had on everybody. But I want to talk about something even more important, his hair. It's perfect.
People ask me, who is my favorite country artist? And I say, you mean besides George Jones?
He will always be remembered as the king of country soul.
Nobody in the world sings like him, and nobody in the world can sing like him.
In my mind, nobody will ever sing better than George for emotion and heart and feeling. I love him.
I'm a big fan of yours. I know every song you ever recorded.
If anybody was to ever ask anybody how to describe country music, the best way I know is to say George Jones. And that's from outside the business. Inside the business, if everybody could sing like they wanted to and sounded like they wanted to, they'd all sound like George Jones. You deserve every award that they can ever give you. You're the greatest, Hoss.
George put so much emotion, so much feeling into his songs, and that's what it's all about.
I would give anything if I could sing like George Jones.
He touches an emotion like few other people in this business have ever touched, or I think ever will touch.
Great to hear Charlie Daniels talk about the high spirit of his belief. And Barbara also mentioned those shoes. It's my belief they don't make those shoes anymore.
Nobody can move them and slide them things around like old George Jones.
George makes me self-conscious. He sings too good.
We've heard few sounds more lovely than the voice of George Jones. It's a beautiful gift to the world, and it will always bring back wonderful memories to us all.
I knew all along that there was a big old heart in there because this man is just wonderful. He is a very, very big-hearted, good man.
George once said he was truly amazed when he found out that some people liked his singing voice. In response, a music reviewer said, okay, and Michelangelo was just happy a few folks liked his ceiling.
It seems like Jones fans just won't let him quit. Why? Because if you've ever had your heart broken, or cheated, or got cheated on, or just had to deal with one of life's bad patches, you know that when you hear George Jones sing, he knows just how you feel.
I went to see him just today.
But you know I'm happy mostly, because I'm singing with my hero, Can't Lose Joe. Well, a galactic fan to keep me cool while I sleep.
And in spite of all the things that he has done to destroy himself, and would have destroyed 99% of the other people in this business that I know, he can still stroll out on the stage, strap on that guitar and start singing and knock you right out of your seat.
I was with Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello in the recording studio. And I was playing a demo by George Jones, and Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe were sitting there with tears in their eyes. Let's say they were drinking a little bit, but Elvis Costello held that bottle up and said, "The greatest country singer in the history of the world, George Jones." I said, "You're right."
You just don't have any idea how good he is.
I look for you a long, long time.
If you want to sum up everything that's great about country music, you only need 2 words. That's George Jones.
Simply the greatest voice to ever sing country music, George Jones.
But everyone knows the absolute fact that George was and always will be the greatest singer of all time in country music.
You best remember me, my friend. I am the cold, hard truth. You best remember me, my friend. I am the cold.
Jones had more songs make the charts than any other country music singer in history.
George Jones has put 167 songs on the charts.
That's more than if you added up Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson together.
I guess the thing that impressed me more about George Jones was just a good old guy when I met him. If you didn't know him, you'd think he worked at the gas station down the road. Hi, I'm Alan Jackson. George Jones, legend, singer. What could I say about him that hadn't already been said 1,000 times, and all of it's true? To meet somebody like that and to still realize they're just a good old human being and they just love to sing, and that's what George does, and he sings better than anybody. I can't think of anything that can say any more than his songs and music has said for the last 30 years. So I think we ought to just... Don't rock the jukebox. I want to hear George Jones.
It's almost like he's lived every minute of every word that he sings, and there's very few people that can do that.
It was always Jones that seemed to get the message across just exactly right.
Man, he stole everybody's heart. He stole my heart.
King of country music, Mr. George Jones!
If 10 of the greatest singers in the business sang the same song, the one that you would remember would be the version by George Jones.
You're a pioneer, but again, you are country music.
I don't need your rocking chair.
Without George Jones, we wouldn't have anything that we have today, and I think that the direction of the industry right now is kind of lost touch with what the backbone of this industry is all about.
To me, George Jones is country music.
He puts more emotion into one word than anybody that's ever lived. And that's what we're all going to remember about Jones. He's the best.
My general opinion, this man is the finest, most riveting singer in country music.
George Jones could sit there and sing the alphabet and make you think that he was singing it directly to you, and that's the only song you'd ever really
and
want.
George singing my lyrics. That's, again, it gives me goosebumps every time I hear it.
George, of course, is one of my heroes, and I just think that he's great. One of the first songs I ever sang on stage when I was a little girl was his first hit record, one of his big records called If You Want to Be My Baby, because that ain't what I'm singing tonight, but I've loved him for all these years.
If you don't have it, you never will, and if you do have it, you've always got it. George Jones has always had that special, unique gift of talent that sets him apart and puts him a cut above most of all the rest. His mainstay is his love of the music he performs, and he has communicated those emotions that country music so freely bears. And he has made all of us proud that we're in the same business as George Jones.
George Jones, I think, will always be the greatest singer we've ever had in country music, and I think that'll be the case forever.
Thank you for all the great years that you've given us with music. That means more to us than anything.
But he's the greatest. Oh, George.
The Possum.
George Jones idolized Roy Acuff, the way nearly every country music singer who came after him idolizes George Jones.
Boy, I had two favorites, I guess, back when I started recording, well, two or three. It was Roy Acuff and Hank Williams, Sr., and Lefty.
Yeah.
And I loved them so much that I just wound up with parts of them, in
man.
In my singing.
You can't help it not.
Well, you got all the best parts, I can tell you that much.
The way he can perform it, the way he does it with his voice, the type of voice that I use, and then drops into that deep baritone bass voice. It's just remarkable how he can do those things, and I wished I could do them. I don't know anyone else that can do that.
And come away from the honky-tonk, back into my arms again.
George did things with his voice that nobody else would even think about. He'd hold on to a word, teasing it, turning it, and make you wonder where he could possibly go with it. But then just at the right second, he'd turn it loose, and you just kind of smile and admire.
You know, I've won a lot of awards, I'm not bragging, a lot of awards over the period of years, and each and every one of them was fantastic. They made you feel great. They kept you going and made you try harder and work harder.
The single record of the year is He Stopped Loving Her Today.
He stopped loving her today. It placed a wreath upon his door.
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
The top male vocalist of this year and any year, George Jones.
Georgie!
You messed me up now. You should have done that. This is the greatest thrill of my life. Everybody says things like that, but the things that's happened so good for me in the past few months, all you people have made it happen for me. And we love you and we appreciate it.
Well, I see that George showed up for this one. If they'd just given me my money, I would make them all.
I swear you didn't kiss her or leave that barroom with her.
No, I didn't see you.
And I didn't see you. And we didn't see a thing.
I have had good days and bad days, but when my day's through, I always get lucky with you.
And tonight, country music fans echoes the praises of George's special friends in representing in our 1987 Living Legend Award, George Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, the possum rides again, Mr. George Jones.
Thank you. Bless your heart. Thank you.
I have the best job in the house tonight. There's nobody sitting at home watching tonight, or nobody in this audience that wants to see you retire to your rocking chair by any means. But we do want you to enjoy being the next member of the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much.
For the fans who've never left him, and for a new generation already in love with that rich, warm voice, welcome to the White House.
also asked country legend George Jones about getting recognized.
It all came sudden and everything. It's been a wonderful career, and what a thrill to be, remembered even this late, this age and time that I'm living in.
Everybody wanted to sing like George Jones, but nobody could sing like George Jones. God made just one like him, but aren't we glad he did? Thank you.
I just can't imagine what country music would have been like without George Jones.
He always will be here. He'll always be a part of country music. Some of us will last for a while, but as long as there is a country music, you'll know who George Jones was.
And country loves him for it.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Still country, still king.
We're going to miss you, Mr. Jones.
And soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her today.
We love you, George.